Today, I want to talk about direct mail statistics, or what I call the direct mail funnel, because a lot of you are out there planning your fall direct mail campaigns. And I think if we go through these statistics, you will find a lot of strategic ways that you can kind of put your thumb on the lever and really maximize the money that you're spending on this mailing and get a better return on your investment. So let's get into it. The first thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a sufficient number of prospects so that you have lots and lots of letters to send. So, however, you're bringing people into your organization, whether you're borrowing a list or you're buying a list of a similarly minded organization, or you are working to do events and bring people into the fold, whatever you're doing to bring people, if you're collecting information on your website and adding folks to your list that way, make sure you're collecting more than just their email, because if you have their address, you can send them letters, and you want to have a high number of prospects so that your funnel is big. And the wider your funnel is, the more gifts you will have at the bottom of that funnel. So making sure you have a sufficient number of prospects, especially if you're a startup nonprofit. This is where board members come into play. You want them to give you more names. You want them to add folks to your database who you can try to get involved in the organization. Your second hurdle is going to be having the correct address, because you can have all the wonderful people in the world and you can produce a beautiful mailing. And if you don't have enough correct addresses, your funnel is just automatically smaller, and it will get dramatically smaller if you don't have good addresses to send to. So, this is where data integrity comes in. So, you need to have good practices around your office surrounding data integrity so that if anyone finds a new address for one of your prospects, you're automatically putting that in a disciplined way into the database. You're making sure everything is formatted properly, and you're running things through basic research screenings like National Change of Address, or NCOA, through the post office. This is a very cheap research service that will make sure your addresses are formatted properly, and it will catch people who have moved within the last year or so and have registered that with the Postal Service. So that's going to save you a lot of headache right there. So once you've gotten the mailing to the correct addresses, you have to make sure they open the letter. You could have the most fantastic letter on the face of the planet, and if they don't open the envelope, you're dead in the water. So you definitely want to make sure that you are using all kinds of intriguing artwork and envelope tricks to encourage them to open your letter. This can be everything from varying envelope size and shape, to the colors and imagery that you put on the envelope, to whether it's a windowed envelope or you have a handwritten address on the outside, or what appears to be handwritten. It can be all kinds of different things that can encourage people to open it. Taglines, if the tagline is intriguing enough, they're going to open the mailing. So make sure that it stands out in a mailbox. People don't have a lot of time today, and you have to make sure that they're going to want to open that envelope. After they open the envelope, they have to read your appeal. So make sure that your appeal is scannable. This is crucial. You could have a wonderfully written letter with a fantastic case for giving. And if it's too long, and in our world, too long may mean 2 or 3 minutes to read it. So make sure that key data points and emotional points that you want to drive home are bolded or underlined or italicized or indented or done in a pull-out quote, or they're in the PS or they're in the PPS, whatever it is, that you've made that letter scannable. So they don't have to necessarily read it word for word. And most people won't, but they're going to scan it. They're going to read the peripheral information, the PS, etc. Make your letter scannable. If you have a good case for giving in a scannable format, they will be ready to make a gift if you have a good reply device like a reply card or a tear off section on the bottom that functions as a reply card, and you have some kind of reply envelope. Make sure that you're giving guidance as to what kind of ask amount your organization is looking for, what designation your organization is looking for. Is it unrestricted support? Is it their annual fund? Is it for a specific project? What is the money going toward? They can still write in something if they want to give to something else, but you need to give them direction. And that you also provide that return vehicle or the return envelope. You can have a return envelope that they put the stamp on themselves. This saves your organization money, but it does cause one more step that the prospect has to do before they send the gift back, which causes a little bit more friction. Or you can have a business reply envelope, which requires setting up the business reply account and having the prepaid BREs. So there's trade offs to each of those. So you need to do A B testing with all of these different things to see what works for your constituency. But you need to have a reply device. Don't ever assume that they will just go online if you tell them to go online and fulfill their gift that way. There are lots and lots of reasons why people don't want to go online. You need to give them the option for a check or to write their credit card information on the reply card. Now, if you've done all of these things and you've worked your way down the funnel and you feel like you have done well in setting up everything there, you're going to give yourself the best chance to have a high return on investment mailing. And this is also a valuable framework for looking back at previous mailings and seeing where they maybe could have been better. Or if you had a mailing that flopped, you can kind of go through these and try to identify the reason. If you had never done any research on your addresses and you got your addresses from an organization that wasn't so great with making sure everything was formatted well, maybe it was that step. If your envelope was boring and you're like, oh, yeah, you pull it out of your archives and you're like, I wouldn't have paid attention to that in my mailbox, then you know you need to do something a little snazzier next time. If your appeal wasn't scannable and it just looked like big blocks of paragraphs of text, you know that might have been the problem. So this allows a framework not only for figuring out what went wrong in other mailings, but for planning ahead and making sure that you maximize your chances of getting a gift with every letter that you send out.